The relentless pursuit of glory and recognition has driven many individuals to push the limits of human endurance, often with fatal consequences. Shocking statistics reveal that each year, hundreds of record-breaking attempts are made in the chase for glory, bearing witness to the grim reality that for every record broken, another soul may be sacrificed on the altar of ambition. Sit tight as we delve into the harrowing tales of 10 world record attempts gone fatally wrong, and the cost of greatness was measured in the ultimate sacrifice. Guy Garman, better known as Doc Deep, was a passionate scuba diver, an ear, nose, and throat specialist with a daring dream. In 2015, he embarked on a mission to break the world record for the deepest scuba dive, aiming to reach a staggering depth of 2,000 feet off the coast of St. Croix. After 2 years of meticulous preparation and assembling a 28-person support crew, Garman descended into the depths on August 15th. Garman arrived at 660 feet with his support team as planned and was supposed to dive solo to the record-breaking depth and return to the air station at 360 feet. But tragically, Garman never arrived at the station. Despite the relentless efforts of his support team, his fate remained uncertain. It was later revealed that Garman had succumbed to the unforgiving pressures of the deep, leaving the diving community in mourning. Diana Paris, a 46-year-old German skydiving enthusiast, was no stranger to the thrill of freefall. With over 1,500 jumps under her belt, she was determined to etch her name in the record books by participating in an ambitious attempt to create the largest group formation dive ever recorded. On April 3, 2014, in Eloy, Arizona, Paris joined 221 fellow skydivers from 28 countries, each donning colorful jumpsuits as they took to the skies. The plan was to complete 2 complex aerial formations before deploying their parachutes. However, tragedy struck when Paris's parachute malfunctioned and her reserve chute failed to deploy in time. As her husband watched in horror from the ground, Paris plummeted to her death. In the small town of Kanto, Sri Lanka, a 24-year-old man named JANAKA BASNAYAKE harbored an extraordinary ambition to set a world record for the longest time spent buried alive. At around 9:30 a.m. on April 28, 2013, BASNAYAKE, with the assistance of friends and family, descended into a 10-foot, 3 meters deep trench, sealed with wood and soil, attempting to beat his previous record of surviving underground for 6 hours. As the clock ticked, spectators gathered, eagerly anticipating the emergence of a new record holder. However, as the appointed time passed, BASNAYAKE remained motionless beneath the earth. Frantic attempts to extricate him ensued, but when he was fully unearthed at 4 p.m., a chilling reality dawned. BASNAYAKE had succumbed to the confines of his self-imposed tomb. Despite the absence of medical professionals on site, a pulse was initially detected, kindling hopes of resuscitation. But those hopes were swiftly extinguished as the young man was pronounced dead upon arrival at the hospital. The Sri Lankan government subsequently urged the public to refrain from attempting such high-risk events. Nicholas MEVOLI was a man driven by an insatiable thirst for adventure and a relentless pursuit of breaking boundaries. As an accomplished freediver and actor, he had already carved his name in the annals of the sport, setting an American record in the constant weight category with a dive to 328 feet. On November 17th of that same year, MEVOLI set his sights on a new challenge: to dive to a depth of 236 feet without the aid of fins or breathing equipment, a feature that would solidify his place among the elite freedivers of the world. With unwavering determination, he plunged into the depths. Initially, all seemed to progress smoothly. As officials tracked his descent via sonar, MEVOLI appeared to change his mind midway, turning back towards the abyss in a desperate attempt to complete his record-breaking dive. Witnesses watched in horror as he resurfaced after being underwater for 3 minutes and 38 seconds, momentarily communicating that he was all right before losing consciousness and exhibiting distressing symptoms. Despite the frantic efforts of medical professionals, MEVOLI's life could not be saved, and he tragically passed away just 15 minutes after his ill-fated dive due to fluid built up in his lungs. In the heart of Tehran, Iran, a daredevil named Javad PALIZBANIAN was determined to make history. On August 28, 2005, The 44-year-old stuntman set out to break the world record for the longest distance jumped over a line of buses on a motorcycle. As cameras rolled and a crowd gathered at the Azadi Sports Stadium, PALIZBANIAN uttered the prophetic words, "I am going to do something for my country to be proud of." Revving his engine, he hurtled towards the 22 buses parked in succession, each one a potential obstacle in his path to glory. With later focus, he cleared the first few buses, but as he approached the 13th bus, everything went south. His motorcycle collided with the bus, sending PALIZBANIAN crashing to the ground with brutal force. The impact was instantaneous and devastating, robbing him of his life before the stunned crowd's eyes. Jessi Combs was a woman who had a fearless spirit. She defied conventions and blazed a trail through the male-dominated world of motorsports with her. In 2019, she set her sights on the daring new challenge to break the land speed record for a woman, a feature that had stood untouched for over 4 decades. On August 27th, in the vast expanse of the Alvord Desert in Oregon, Combs stepped into the cockpit of her jet-powered vehicle, the roar of its engines reverberating through the arid landscape hurling across the desert. As she approached the coveted record, a terrible disaster struck in the form of a mechanical failure. Combs' vehicle veered off course, slamming into the harsh terrain at 550 miles per hour. The impact was devastating. Rescue crews did all they could, to no avail. Jessi Combs succumbed to the injuries she sustained. She indeed broke the 40-yard standing record, but died doing it. Sailendra Nath was an Indian stuntman whose daring feats involved an unlikely prop, his own hair. Having earned a place in the Guinness Book of World Records for the longest distance traveled on a zipline using only his hair, Roy sought to push the boundaries even further. On April 28, 2013, he attempted to break his own record by ziplining across the Tista River, a distance of nearly 600 feet, suspended by nothing more than his flowering ponytail. As spectators watched in anticipation, Roy launched himself across the taut cable, but midway through, his hair became entangled, leaving him dangling helplessly above the rushing waters. Fans and spectators watched helplessly as he made frantic attempts to free himself for about 30 minutes. Roy succumbed to a fatal heart attack, and he died on the spot. In the summer of 2014, a father-son duo embarked on an extraordinary quest that captured the world's imagination. Babar and Suleman, hailing from Indiana, set out to accomplish a huge feat, to circumnavigate the globe in a single-engine plane within a record-breaking 30 days. For 17-year-old Harris, a talented pilot since the age of 8, this journey represented more than just a pursuit of glory. It was a mission to raise funds for underprivileged children in Pakistan and inspire others to chase their dreams. As they crisscrossed continents, making stops in 15 countries, the father-son team became national heroes in Pakistan, showered with adulation and flowers. Yet, their triumph was fleeting, for on July 22nd, just 2 days before their scheduled return, their plane plunged into the South Pacific Ocean shortly after taking off from Pago Pago. In the aftermath of the tragic crash, a frantic search operation ensued, but only Harris's body and small debris were recovered, leaving the final moments of their ill-fated journey shrouded in mystery. At the tender age of 7, Jessica DUBROFF had already captured the hearts of imaginations of millions with her unwavering determination to become the youngest person to pilot a plane across the United States. Dubbed the Sea to Shining Sea Flight, her cross-country journey quickly turned her into a media sensation, her infectious enthusiasm and precocious talent bellying her years. On April 10, 1996, accompanied by her flight instructor and father, DUBROFF embarked on the final leg of her historic journey, taking off from Cheyenne, Wyoming, amid deteriorating weather conditions. Tragically, their plane encountered difficulty shortly after takeoff, flipping and crashing onto a residential street, instantly claiming the lives of all 3 occupants. An investigation revealed that her instructor was at the controls during the crash. In the midst of the heated space race between the United States and the Soviet Union, an unlikely contender emerged in the form of Nick PIANTANIDA, a truck driver turned daredevil. Driven by an insatiable desire to have his name in the record books, PIANTANIDA set his sights on breaking the record for the highest parachute jump ever achieved. Despite his lack of formal training or military background, PIANTANIDA was determined. With the support of sponsors in the U.S. Air Force, who lent him a pressurized suit and access to training facilities, went on a series of audacious attempts. His first 2 tries, though groundbreaking in their own right, fell short of the coveted record. Yet undeterred, PIANTANIDA pressed on, reaching an unprecedented altitude of 57,000 feet during his third and final attempt on May 1, 1966. Misfortune struck, however, when his suit depressurized, forcing ground controllers to release the gondola, sending him plummeting back to Earth in a harrowing descent. Though he initially survived the fall, the lack of oxygen during his freefall had inflicted irreparable damage, and PIANTANIDA slipped into a coma from which he would never awaken, ultimately succumbing to his injuries 4 months later. From the depths of the ocean to the farthest reaches of the sky, these remarkable individuals dared to defy the boundaries of human limitation, driven by an insatiable thirst for glory and achievement. Some failed and some accomplished their goals, but none of them lived to witness the aftermath of their feats.